Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us at EPA Victoria today to learn more about our new waste tracker system. My name is Matt Nelson and I will be your host for today's session. EPA acknowledges Aboriginal people as the first people and traditional custodians of the land and water on which we live, work, and depend. We pay respect to Aboriginal elders past and present. As Victoria's environmental regulator, we pay respect to how country has been protected and cared for by Aboriginal people over many tens of thousands of years. We recognize the unique spiritual and cultural significance of land, water, and all that is in the environment, and the continuing connection and aspirations for country of Aboriginal people and traditional custodians. Caring for the environment is a shared responsibility. I want to start today by recognizing and thanking all of you for joining us here today to uphold that responsibility and learning more about EPA's new waste tracker system with us over the next hour. We have a lot of information and content that we're going to cover with you today to help you prepare to use the waste tracker system once the new laws commence. However, we have one key call to action for you today to take out of this session that I want to talk to you about now. Take the information we're going to talk today back to your business and to your industry partners. Raise awareness of what you've learned about the waste tracking system, its requirements, and start taking steps today to get ready for it. Before we begin with the detail of the session proper, I'd like to outline a few points to help this session be as valuable and engaging for you as possible. Today's session is going to be recorded and will be available on the EPA website soon after. This is going to allow you to really engage with the content and information. We are running today's event in line with EPA's COVID Safe Plan. This is a Teams live event, and it'll have a bit of a different feel and look to other virtual info sessions you might have had with us previously. What this means is that only our cameras and microphones will be on. The best way to communicate with our support team is through the Q&A function you see to the right-hand side of the screen. There's going to be a dedicated Q&A section at the end of this session today. Please note, during that Q&A session, we're only going to be taking on questions within the scope of the waste tracker system. Our team is going to be answering questions within the scope of this system, but we still want to hear other questions from you that we'll note. We encourage you to submit any other EPA-related questions, but they won't be published. Our team's going to take this back on board and use it into future EPA communications. For broader EPA program questions, we encourage you to visit our website for more information. If you would like to access the closed captions, a link has been shared in the Q&A announcement feature of Teams right now. There will be a feedback questionnaire at the end, and we encourage you to use this to help future engagement and understand who will be leading the transition to waste tracker in your business. The information presented in today's webinar is provided as general guidance only. It doesn't constitute legal or professional advice and shouldn't be relied on as a replacement for consulting the laws directly understand how they may apply to you. You should obtain professional advice if you have any specific concerns. So here's the agenda for today's session. We're going to cover a lot of information today. We're also going to reference areas found on the EPA website and how to contact us at the end. Participants will receive an email shortly after this session with all of the important links information to help you along the way to start preparing today. You're going to hear from a few different people at EPA over the next hour. First, Dan Hunt, our Director of Regulatory Programs, will provide a brief look at the new Environmental Protection Act for some context on why Waste Tracker exists. Next, Heather Hawkins, who is leading delivery of the Waste Tracker program, will give us an overview of the system to show why we need a waste tracker system, what the waste tracker is, but most importantly, what it isn't as well, and who the system is for and how to use it. Then we're going to show you a few short demonstration videos of the waste tracker system, how to create a waste record, how to transport waste, and also the steps required to receive waste. After the video demonstration, we're going to have that Q&A I referenced a minute ago about the waste tracker system. We encourage you to post any questions you have as we go out through today's session, and we'll answer them during this time. If you see a question that you think should be answered, make sure to give it a thumbs up. We'd appreciate that. Several questions were submitted with the registrations for this event, and we appreciate that, and we're going to address those as well during that time. Any waste tracker questions we can't get to today, we will incorporate into our future communications from EPA that I'll talk about in the next step section. Then we're going to close this session with a look at those next steps so you understand what's coming up to help you prepare and be ready. I'd now like to introduce Dan Hunt, our Director of Regulatory Programs at EPA. EPA's strategic intent and priorities, like the waste tracking system, are delivered statewide in risk-based compliance programs through our regulatory program work. Over to you, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I'm the Director for Regulatory Programs here at EPA Victoria. Waste tracker and regulatory oversight of hazardous waste movements are within my area of responsibility. You're probably aware by now that there's new laws coming into effect from the 1st of July 2021. These new laws require everyone to take reasonable steps to identify and manage their risks to the environment and human health. Current laws focus on the consequence of harm, and the new laws are focused on preventing harm. So more information about the new laws and regulations can be found on EPA's website, including a recording of the webinar on the new environment protection laws in case you missed it when we presented that on the 3rd of February. The new Environment Protection Act introduces a general environmental duty which is criminally enforceable. It also introduces regulatory duties across the whole waste chain, from producers to transporters to receivers. We call these waste duties. It's important for you to be aware of the law and how to comply. We're here to support you to comply, but you also have a responsibility to be aware of your duties under the new legislation. There's a significant increase in the maximum fines and penalties under our new legislation for breaching the general environmental duty. So that's up to $322,000 for an individual or $1.6 million for a corporation. There are increases in the penalties for offences for unlawful disposal of industrial waste, and more powers to hold people to account if they supply false or misleading information to EPA. The new law introduces the concept of repeat waste offenders. This will enable a court to consider a prison term of up to 2 years for a person who has previously committed an industrial waste offence, including potential jail time for repeat illegal waste dumping offences. It also introduces a stronger fit and proper person requirement and prohibited person provisions. This means EPA will be able to block a person that has a relevant criminal history from obtaining a licence or permission for receiving, handling, processing and storage of waste. EPA works with businesses to help them understand the new laws. Our response will be harsher if a business is resistant, evasive, or fails to account for its risks. A range of tools and technologies will be available to support the implementation of the new legislation. This includes Waste Tracker, which we're here to talk about with you in more detail today. First, a bit more about the waste duties. Your obligations under the new waste framework depends on your role in the chain of responsibility. A waste producer must take reasonable steps to ensure industrial waste is classified and managed in line with the Act and regulations. This is a really important step that helps ensure that the waste is taken to a lawful place. A transporter must ensure that industrial waste goes to a lawful place. The Act requires that industrial waste may only be received somewhere that has lawful authority to receive it. This is known as lawful place. A receiver of the industrial waste must be authorised to receive that waste. The most hazardous types of waste are referred to as reportable priority waste. Waste tracking helps you reduce the risks of harm associated with transporting reportable priority waste. It maintains visibility that the waste of the waste as it moves through the chain of responsibility. Classifying and managing your waste in a lawful manner reduces the risk of harm to the environment and human health. Classification is the process of identifying and describing your waste type. EPA provides you with a waste code and a category based on its hazard level and then the potential risk for harm. So there's 3 different types of waste: industrial waste, priority waste, and reportable priority waste. Each of these waste types has duties and regulatory controls associated with it. The classification process helps you identify your waste type, including testing and labeling, and therefore which legal requirements apply. The new streamlined classification framework makes it quicker, easier, and less costly for duty holders to accurately identify their waste and understand which waste duties apply. Each waste classification has a specific duty attached, which allows additional management and transportation controls to be applied. Depending on the classification as either industrial, priority, or reportable priority waste, there are less or more obligations to control the risk of harm. For example, you'll see that reportable priority wastes, you'll have the same obligations as those applying to industrial and priority waste. Reportable priority waste has some additional obligations and it carries the highest level of controls. It requires duties such as appropriate classification, identifying alternatives to disposal, and notifying EPA of the waste movement. You must inform EPA every time a reportable priority waste is exchanged by using EPA's Waste Tracker system to comply with this duty. Waste Tracker is EPA's new system which will replace waste transport certificates. It's designed to track transaction information about reportable priority waste, which we're going to look at a bit closer next. I'd now like to introduce my colleague Heather Hawkins to take you through the Waste Tracker system. Over to you, Heather.
Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone. I'm leading development and implementation of the Waste Tracker program, and today I'm going to show you the Waste Tracker system. In a few moments, we're going to show 3 demonstration videos of the Waste Tracker system in use. Before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about why we need a new Waste Tracker system, what the Waste Tracker is and isn't, and who the system is for, and how you can use it. EPA's new Waste Tracker has been designed to support people involved in the disposal of reportable priority waste meet the duty to notify EPA of transactions. It will help duty holders reduce the risk reportable priority waste may pose during transport by keeping it visible to everyone in the supply chain. New environment protection laws commence on 1 July and introduce specific duties related to industrial waste. It is a requirement to comply with waste tracking duties. Using Waste Tracker to inform EPA each time your waste changes hands is a requirement of reportable priority waste duties. The current system doesn't allow EPA to track waste as required under the new laws. Waste Tracker doesn't replace your commercial transaction records, logistics, or your inventory management systems. The system will capture information about reportable priority waste as it moves from disposal to collection and receipts these transactions in real time. It can guide users to send waste to a lawful place by a permission transporter and provides simple and easy to use forms for information capture. What's really important though is the Waste Tracker supports drivers and receivers to perform tasks using a mobile app in real time. The system's web enabled and mobile friendly, meaning it's just as easy to open and enter data on your phone as it is on a computer. It's been specifically designed to work across different browsers, different phones, and computers. Waste Tracker helps to manage reportable priority waste and meet your waste tracking duties and obligations. You can access Waste Tracker via the new EPA portal when it launches later in 2021. As we get closer to the launch, we'll give you more information about how to set up a new account and how current portal users can access the new system. Matt will run you through those key dates shortly. Waste Tracker runs on a web portal and a mobile phone app. Producers, accredited consigners, transport companies and their drivers and receivers can use the web portal to create waste records, assign waste to a specific driver, receive waste or reject waste. We'll see that shortly in our videos. Drivers of EPA permission vehicles and receivers can use the mobile phone app to pick up and drop off waste, receive waste, use an offline mode to enter data without an internet connection, and reject their waste. To use the Tracker app, you will need an EPA portal account. You'll download the Waste Tracker mobile app from the App Store or from Google Play. You'll require internet access to upload data entered while offline. And you'll need a smartphone or device running at least iOS 11 or Android 8. Information about Waste Tracker is available on EPA's website now. We will continue to add information to the website over the coming months and encourage you to keep this for reference. So that's an overview of the new system and what it's designed to do, what it doesn't do, and who it's been designed for. Now we're going to show you 3 video demonstrations of the Waste Tracker system, which will show you how a user creates a waste record, how a driver picks up and drops off using the mobile phone app, a receiver accepts waste at the receival site. Please post any questions or comments in the chat as we go. After the video demonstrations are finished, we will spend some time answering your questions about the Waste Tracker. The first demonstration will show you how a waste record is created.
Today we're going to show you how a user can create a waste record using EPA's new Waste Tracker. The Waste Tracker is accessible through the EPA portal, which can be found on the EPA website. Once on the portal homepage, the user can sign in using their portal account, or if they don't have a portal account, create one by choosing to sign up. Once signed in, the user can see the portal homepage. From here, they can manage their waste records, they can start a permission application, or they can manage aspects of their portal profile through My Organisation up in the left. By scrolling down, they can see the help options and other useful information available. Today, the user is going to create a waste record. So they're going to click on the Create Waste Record button. The first step in creating the waste record is to add the information of the emergency contact and site manager, the place where the waste is being collected from. The submitter of the waste record will be pre-populated using the information from the portal account. The steps involved in creating the waste record are shown down the left-hand side of the screen. In the waste details section, the user will input information related to the waste classification. The user will add information about their intended treatment option. Depending on the treatment option selected, more information may be required. The user will add information about the number of packages being collected and additional information about the waste if it is a dangerous good. The system will provide a list of industries the user can choose from to show where the waste was produced. The amount of waste can be added in kilograms, litres, cubic metres or tonnes. If the waste is coming from outside of Victoria, additional information will be required. The user will select a dispatch date to be confirmed with their nominated transporter. Fields are provided to enable the user to add information about contaminants or other information that could be relevant to the waste. The user can provide files to EPA using the Add Files function. A map function will allow the user to select the place where the waste is to be collected from. This can be done by dropping a pin on the map or by searching for the address in the bar provided. Additional information about the pickup can be added using the free text field. If the transporter is from Victoria, the user will select them from a list of permission transporters provided by the system. The list provided is based on the permission transporters who have permission to transport the waste as per the code that was entered by the user in the waste details section. The same process applies for the receiver. If the transporter or receiver are not from Victoria, the system will prompt the user for additional information. The final step in creating the waste record is to review the details and confirm the record. Selecting Create Waste Record will establish the record in the Waste Tracker system. The Waste Record ID is shown and the user can create another record or go to their list of waste records. From the list of waste records, the user can perform further actions including editing the record, cloning the record, emailing a PDF of the record, or viewing the record details. If there are no further actions to perform, the user can log out of the EPA portal. And that concludes the process for creating a waste record using the EPA Waste Tracker.
The next video is to describe the transporter transporting waste and the driver picking up and dropping off.
Now we're going to show you how a transporter and a driver use the waste tracker to collect and drop off reportable priority waste. The transporter can sign in to the EPA portal by accessing it through the EPA website. Once signed in, the transporter can manage their waste records through the Waste Transporter dashboard from the menu at the top of the screen. The waste transporter can sort the list of waste records by the headings where the option is available. Alternatively, they can search for the waste record ID using the search function in the right-hand corner. For the waste record that they want to have collected, they can assign it to a driver by using the menu on the right-hand side of the record. Scrolling to the bottom, the waste record details will show the Assign Driver section. This list is a list of drivers that the transporter has invited to be a part of their transport company. Transporter can have multiple drivers in their company, and a driver can accept invites from multiple transporters. Select the driver you wish to assign the work to from the list provided. Once assigned, the record will show in assigned status in the transporter's dashboard, and the driver will now see the record in their own work list. The transporter can complete other functions relating to the record, including changing the assigned driver, or rejecting the waste, or viewing the waste record details. Now we're going to see how a driver can pick up and drop off waste using the Waste Tracker mobile app. The mobile app can be downloaded from your app store. Once signed in, using the waste record ID, a driver can search for the waste record that they want to pick up. The waste record information will be available to the driver, and they can enter the vehicle details of the vehicle they are using to collect the waste, including the registration number, VIN number, and relevant information for a trailer if necessary. Additional trailers can be added. With the information entered into the system, the driver can proceed to pick up the waste. Here the driver enters the information about the waste that they are collecting. The driver has the option to enter a discrepancy if that is relevant to the waste they are collecting. When the driver has entered the information, they submit and the collection is complete. To drop the waste off at a lawful place, the driver will search for the waste record. The driver can scroll to the bottom of the waste record details. The information EPA is collecting about the record is stated on the bottom of the record. The driver can select Drop Off Waste to complete the drop-off.
The last video is going to show the steps required to receive a waste record at the lawful place.
Today we're going to show you how a receiver can record the receipt of reportable priority waste using EPA's Waste Tracker. The Waste Tracker is accessible through the EPA portal from the EPA website. Once signed into the portal, the user can see the portal home screen. The waste receiver can see the options they can perform within the EPA portal. They can manage their waste records or apply for a permission. To manage their waste records, they can access their list by selecting the Waste Receiver dashboard from the Manage Waste menu. This will create the list of waste records that the receiver has assigned to them. To receive a waste record, the receiver can find the record by sorting the list using the headings available, or search for the record using the Waste Record ID. Using the buttons on the right, the receiver can proceed to receive the waste record. The receiver will add their site information to the record. They can add the number of packages they are receiving and the amount of waste in kilograms, tonnes, litres or cubic metres. Where relevant, they can add a treatment code. The treatment code can be added by searching through the list or searching for the code using the field available. The receiver can note a discrepancy for any of the reasons shown. They can add additional information about the receipt of the waste and add files. Once the waste is received, they can return to the receiver dashboard. The receiver can use the same menu on the right-hand side of the record to reject waste, or if the waste has already been received, they can email a copy of the record. If there are no further actions to perform, the receiver can exit the EPA portal. And that concludes the process for receiving waste using the EPA Waste Tracker.
So there is an introduction to the new Waste Tracker, and the users of our current waste transport certificate system will surely see the improved interface we have developed. Thank you for your patience with some of the sound quality issues we were having. As you'll see, this is a positive change for the current waste transport certificate users. We're introducing a system that is faster, easy to use, and mobile enabled. As your questions are still coming in, and the team is still collating them, I'm going to start by answering some of the questions we received in the lead up to today's event. We received questions about who would need to use Tracker. The simplest way to answer this is if you use waste transport certificates now, you will need to get ready to use Waste Tracker when the new laws commence, intended for 1 July. Reportable priority waste is the most hazardous type of waste that can pose risks to the environment and the community when not transported and disposed of correctly. If you're unsure about the waste you handle is reportable priority waste, information is available on EPA's website. Our system is free and available to all businesses handling reportable priority waste as a producer and as transporters and receivers meeting their legal requirements regarding reportable priority waste. People have asked about the need for drivers to use a mobile phone. The laws drive higher transparency on the movement of reportable priority waste, requiring that information to be added at the time when waste is picked up, dropped off, or received. To support this, the Waste Tracker can be used on a mobile device through either a portal or the mobile app. The use of a mobile device to record this information in real time is key to transporters being able to meet their duties regarding notifying EPA of the movement or reportable priority waste. Using the mobile app will automatically record the location, information at pickup and drop off of the reportable priority waste. A benefit of Waste Tracker app is the ability to store information entered when there is no internet connection and automatically upload it when the internet access is restored. Companies should be working to ensure their drivers have access to a device when picking up and dropping off reportable priority waste. The minimum device requirements are on the EPA website. Some companies want to know about how the system works with interstate waste movement, either into Victoria or out of Victoria. EPA's Waste Tracker has been designed specifically to meet Victorian legal requirements. Integration nationally is not part of our current design. If moving controlled waste from Victoria to interstate, you must use Waste Tracker. Waste Tracker will enable users to define the interstate receiver or transporter if this is relevant. When controlled waste is brought into Victoria, you can either use Waste Tracker to meet the Victorian tracking requirements or continue to use the tracking method of the state and territory from which the waste was consigned. You will continue to need authorisation from EPA Victoria in addition to the tracking for waste entering Victoria. We've had some questions from transporters who are accredited agents under the current laws and want to know how they will be required to record multiple collection loads referred to as milk runs. EPA will be communicating directly to accredited agents about the effect of the new laws on their accreditation and how they will be required to record waste collection, including milk runs in the new system. Accredited agents should ensure their contact details on their current waste transport permit are up to date by contacting EPA. There are a number of people who have asked us questions about the system's ability to produce outputs of information for use outside the EPA portal. The focus is on capturing information. It doesn't replace other functions or processes used to manage waste in your business. The system functionality will enable users to export a PDF that can be sent to to an email address for that person to use as a record of the waste movement. We've had some questions about cancellation of unused waste records in the new system. Receivers and transporters will be able to manage unwanted records assigned to them by rejecting them in the system without submitting additional information to EPA. The process is simple and enables users to reject the record in a few simple steps. We'll provide more detailed how-to information about this in future communications. Similarly, a load of waste can be received by a receiver who is not on the waste record without a new record needing to be created. The site that receives the waste can look up the waste record reference provided by the driver and receive the waste. The waste tracker is then updated with the actual receiver's details, and the record is removed from the intended receiver's dashboard. We've had some people ask if they can use a transporter or consigner to record their waste in Waste Tracker. The Waste Tracker is designed to make the provision of information and the fulfilment of reportable priority waste duties easy for producers of reportable priority waste. If you're authorising a transporter or consigner to support you to classify and manage the disposal of reportable priority waste, they may create a waste record on your behalf if you authorise them to do so. You will need to ensure that you are meeting your duties to provide accurate information about the waste to go to the consigner or transporter and satisfy yourself that the waste will go to a lawful place. Will the Waste Tracker work on internet browsers other than Internet Explorer? I am happy to confirm for users of our current waste transport certificate system that the new system is compatible with Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari. Users of our current waste transport system should be aware that Internet Explorer will not be supported by our new system, as Microsoft plans to withdraw its support of this browser more broadly later in 2021. This is a really important thing to us. We are using the same underlying technology that improved the online experience of EPA, including our new website and AirWatch. Waste Tracker is just for reportable priority waste. What about industrial waste? There is no requirement to track industrial waste in the new laws that is not reportable priority waste. However, all industrial waste must still go to a lawful place. So just to reiterate, the tracking of this is for reportable priority waste. Now we have here a question on accounts. Can an account be a business or must it be a person? Individual users must register for their own account, and then this account is linked to a business account so they can action waste records on behalf of the business. This allows a business to have multiple users creating and actioning waste records and having an organisational view. Can a waste record be created in the app? Waste record creation is not available in the mobile app. However, Waste Tracker via the portal is enabled on mobile devices via a browser. Can I template or copy a waste record? To support users who are dealing with the same waste in high volumes, the Waste Tracker will allow users to clone a previous waste record for updating and use it as a new consignment. The cloning function will copy the details of the original waste record and keep it in a draft state. The user can then update any information that is new or changed, for example, the pickup date, and submit the record. Can a receiver edit or correct a waste code? The Waste Tracker is designed to enable all parties involved in the disposal of reportable priority waste the option to provide accurate information to EPA. This includes in circumstances where the waste is classified differently by people throughout the chain of custody. The system includes a discrepancy feature, which can be used to enable drivers and receivers to note where the waste they are collecting or receiving differs to what another member of the chain of custody has assessed it as. Discrepancy can include waste amount, waste codes, characteristics, or their contaminants. The waste can still be collected and received where it is safe and lawful to do so. If it is not safe or lawful to do so, the waste can be rejected in the system. When does the receipt information need to be provided? As we have discussed today, the new laws drive greater transparency in the monitoring of a disposal or reportable priority waste. This means information is required to provide at the time of changing hands, or waste changing hands. So the information needs to be captured at the time of delivery. For receivers, this can be done using a portal on a computer, a laptop or device, or using the mobile app on a mobile device. Do we need to use an accredited consigner? We are receiving some questions about credit consigner roles set out in the new laws. EPA will provide more information about this new appointed role in the coming weeks. Using a credit consigner won't be mandatory, but using one will be a great way to demonstrate you are taking reasonable steps to ensure your waste is managed where you don't have in-house knowledge. Another question, what happens if we don't know the volume as this is determined by the weighbridge at the receiver's end? Producers must take reasonable steps in providing accurate information to the transporter and receiver regarding the waste being consigned. Some more coming through. Great questions, thank you all. How far in advance can I create a waste record? Waste records can be created and kept in draft until they are ready to be used. Draft records are not visible to transporters or receivers, so can be created well in advance. If some questions here about people have asked about if there'll be training. Our priority is to provide industry with as much information as possible so that businesses can train and prepare their own teams and, where relevant, customers and providers. We'll be making more information about WasteTracker available in the coming weeks and months. Today's webinar will be provided to you as a resource so you can engage your teams, as will the short videos you have seen here today. We will also make more detailed information available about the functionality and how to perform tasks in the WasteTracker available in advance so you can prepare with your teams. Keep an eye out on our EPA website or keep in touch through our business bulletin. We've had lots of ideas and suggestions for our system. Our immediate priority is to ensure the law intended for commencement on 1 July are supported by a system that captures the required information. From there, we can look at possibilities for enhancements, but we need to get the system embedded first. We are seeing some questions about how the transition will work. Matt will provide a summary of this to close out the session for you all. We will provide some more specifics online and contact current portal users directly. Matt, I think that's a wrap from me. We're looking forward to going through the questions people have posted to see what else can be included in our future communications to support the transition. But for now, I'll pass it back to you to close out some next steps. Thanks.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, everybody as well who submitted those questions or provided one on our registrations through the Eventbrite today. We really appreciate that. We're going to use that definitely to inform some of our work at EPA with future communications and next steps that I'm going to talk with you about today. So even if we didn't get to answering your specific questions, we got over about 100 there. They're a great value to us and are going to influence our program design and future communications. So this slide shows the milestone dates for delivery of the WasteTracker system. We encourage you to put these dates in your calendar now. We are going to be taking a staged approach to provide users and businesses with information to support their understanding and ability to use the WasteTracker system before it becomes law on 1 July. For the next step, we're going to be releasing how-to type of information about the system in early April. We're going to provide you, when we send out an email after this, with the links how to get that access that information. In late May, the portal on EPA's website will be open for current waste transport certificate users to get set up to use the system, to become familiar with it. So a couple questions about that, if people could have access to it beforehand, and that'll be happening in late May. In late June, users will be able to start setting up waste records so they can start collections after 1 July 2021. As Heather mentioned earlier, on the 1st of July, the new WasteTracker system goes live, and it's going to replace the current waste transport certificate system that is in use. Our expectations of the waste industry is that you and your businesses will also be taking steps to prepare yourselves to be ready for 1 July now. You can start doing this by reading information about the waste duties, New laws, Waste Tracker, General Environmental Duty on the EPA website. And you can start creating awareness of the new Waste Tracker in your business, especially with your drivers. And you can really make sure your contact information is up to date if you're a current EPA portal user to keep staying in the loop with us. What you see on this slide is what we've published at EPA called the Readiness Roadmap to help all Victorians, both community and business, prepare for the commencement of the new laws that are intended to go in effect on 1 July 2021. As you can see on these two images, we have several engagement and communication activities. They're going to really help you upskill your knowledge and ability to meet your obligations. The Readiness Roadmap provides timeframes for our key engagement activities. Some of the key publications, like those how-to guides Heather just mentioned, that are going to be coming out soon. And also critical milestones to help Victorians prepare, more generally speaking. Its purpose is to show you what activities EPA will be doing and when we'll be doing those to help you prepare. This is an important one. You can subscribe to this page to get automatically updated when new information is published. We do this regularly, and it's our main pathway of communicating and putting info out there. So I encourage you to bookmark this page or save it into your favorites. So we're going to recapping today's session. We have gone over the Waste Tracker system to give you a better understanding of why the system is changing and how it's going to support meeting waste duties for compliance. We showed you what the Waste Tracker is designed to do, who will be using the Waste Tracker, how the Waste Tracker works, looks, and feels through those demonstration videos, when it will come into effect, and the key milestones along the way, and what to look out for. And hopefully we have answered many of the great questions you have had about the Waste Tracker system today. What we ask of you is you take this information that we have shared with you today back to your business and to your industry partners that you work with. Raise awareness right now of the waste tracking system that's coming online and its requirements, and start taking the steps to get ready for it today. Everyone who manages reportable priority waste should be taking every step they can to prepare now. With a shared responsibility, EPA is committed to bringing you more information and access to the Waste Tracker system over the next few months to assist you to prepare to be ready. Know your stuff, tell your mates, update your contact info with us, and remember those key dates of Waste Tracker activities that we have coming up. So for more information about what we have talked about here today, including your obligations and the new environment protection laws and Waste Tracker, please visit the EPA website that you see on your screen to get in contact with us. Thank you again for spending the last 50 minutes with us and taking the time to join us. When we'll make sure we get the videos that we demonstrated out and fixed up on the sound so you have access to those soon as well. Thank you and have a nice day.